Welcome back to Steeped in Storytelling. I'm voiceover artist Sarah DeLong, and I love weaving connections between art and science. Today, we're venturing into the tangled garden of narrative ecosystems. How stories live, grow, cross-pollinate, and what happens when we start pruning for profit, predictability, or ease. Our tea is a tisane made of roots, burdock, dandelion, and marshmallow, with a touch of wildflower honey. Time for some field notes. It's winter now, but imagine walking with me a moment through my garden on a summer afternoon. Come on in, mind the berries and thyme spilling onto the path. There's something about tending this patch of land that reminds me a lot of storytelling. Not the rushed kind, but the kind that takes seasons to root and bloom. I think about brains, too. How we grow them, how we nourish them, and yes, how we prune them. Synaptic pruning is a process neuroscientists are still studying, but as we generally understand it, the brain creates overabundant networks, paths with lots of options and lots of connections early in life, then routinely clears out network pathways as we age. It almost makes me want to let my garden run wild. Our brains crave both comfort and surprise. Pattern recognition is essential to learning, yes, but so is novelty. Too much repetition without variation leads to disengagement. Think of how kids, and adults, tune out when told the same story in the same way. Neuroimaging research suggests that engaging with ambiguous characters activates the prefrontal cortex and the default mode network. Both underpin moral reasoning and narrative comprehension. Put a different way, when we engage with ambiguous, layered storytelling, our brains bring systems online that connect memory, the self, the other, and future simulation. In the workplace and creative spheres, urgency culture, the constant push to do more faster, leads to shallow work and burnout. Toxic perfectionism discourages experimentation, and we're left with homogenized content. Add to this the increasing pressure to create perfect content on tight deadlines, and we lose nuance. We start to avoid complexity. We start to fear the slow, quiet, or flawed story. I love companion crops. Basil next to tomatoes. Beans climbing corn. Each feeds the other, draws in different insects, balances the soil. It's the same with stories. A children's book with a big idea. A speculative novel rooted in myth. A quiet poem in an unfamiliar cadence. The strongest plants I have out here, they're the ones that cross-pollinate. The bees do their sacred dances, carrying pollen from one flower to the next, mixing varieties, strengthening the next generation. Let characters feel raw, regional, real. Let emotions be complicated. Keep the cultural flavor. When we edit prose, we're editing possibility. We're saying only certain minds, only certain ways of being belong in the narrative. It's like growing only roses in this garden. Elegant, perhaps, but vulnerable without companions like marigolds, herbs, or wildflowers to draw in beneficial insects and balance the ecosystem. Collaboration doesn't dilute meaning, it deepens it, makes it more resilient, more alive. And even in a garden, we need compost. Things pruned are not destroyed, only transformed. Plants, animals, and stories all have a life cycle. Sometimes we're compost. Sometimes we're resting. Life is seasonal. And some of the most important storytelling happens when you least expect it, when it's ready. Sometimes I think about how plants wait for the right season to flower. Same with a story. Some need winter quiet to germinate. Others burst forth in the full heat of summer. The point is, Not everything is meant to happen at once. In writing, in gardening, in life, timing matters. There's a rhythm, and we have to learn to listen for it. Whatever you're creating, building, or tending, approach it like a garden, with care, with curiosity. Let it cross-pollinate with unfamiliar things. Let it rest when it needs to. Let it surprise you with what grows. The best stories are the ones that can feed more than just the person who planted them. They feed communities, and they feed futures. Today our word is root, curio, from curioso, where we get curious. It shares lineage with cura, to care. Cure, curate, curative, secure. To be curious is to care enough to wonder, to seek awe, to explore the unknown, the different, to accept that there is a lot we don't know. What tales have you stopped reading because they felt too different? And what might they have offered you if you stayed? When everything starts to sound the same, how do we stay open to something new? What are we missing when we choose only what is standardized, streamlined, or familiar? Like a monoculture, these choices might offer consistency and high yield, but what do they do to the soil? Are you letting in enough wildness? You don't have to read the most popular book to have the most meaningful reading experience. Sometimes the rare, the unruly, the odd little tale tucked on a bottom shelf is the one that roots deepest. In our book nook today, we begin with Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Part memoir, part ecological meditation, this book weaves science, story, and indigenous knowledge into a colorful basket of relationship and reciprocity. Kimmerer shows us that attention is a form of love. Language, especially in the oral and poetic traditions, is one way we honor what we tend. This is a book about seasons, seeds, and the sacred patterns of knowing that emerge when we slow down and listen. Next to it on our shelf is Bindle Punk Bruja by Desideria Mesa, full of moonlight and magic and speakeasy swagger. Set in a jazz-soaked 1920s Kansas City, this novel follows Luna, a Mexican-American witch who runs a nightclub by day and uses magic by night. It's a tale of resistance, reinvention, and the old roots of language that survive, even under concrete and corruption. Language, it turns out, grows well in richly composted places, whether prairie soil or underground cabarets. Thank you so much for tuning in to Steeped in Storytelling. Next time, we begin our final episode of the season. We'll reflect on farewells and the lifelong cycle of language. Until then, stay curious, stay cozy.